Excuse me. Alright, so I was waiting for when I was set to start the stream, ended up playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's still not done yet, so I figured I might as well play through it, see how it goes. At you? Okay, no, I'm good. Right? I'm planning on doing Nexus today. This is just what I was doing before the stream started. To be fair, maybe I shouldn't have started a game that close to being about to start a stream. What am I playing against? I don't actually know. I think it's Frankfurters, something along those lines. Let's save that to watch later. Why can't I find the stream on my phone? There we go. Alright, yeah. So we'll put this to the side for now. But yeah, I'm planning on doing Nexus today. Going through doing a bit of testing with Neoshock. And also letting him know what cards are to be worked on next. Let's start with this. Just cuz. Right? I've got another negate ready to go, but I would rather do something else first. Maybe you're playing against Frankfurters? I meant, what's it called? I meant in the sense of, like, surely they're not playing pure Frankfurters, and I think I was right. I think it's branded these guys, whatever the hell their names are. That being said, he's still in a decent position, I think. Again, I don't really know how his deck works, right? Storm Raven, how you doing, bro? What's good with you? What is this now? What does this do? There's so many things. So I'm watching you on my phone while in the shower. How you feel about that? Good. I appreciate you risking the stability of your cellular device just to watch my content. That is, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. Do it more, in fact. I'm not gonna need to, do these guys do, I was about to ask, do these guys do things? Just in case they do things, I'm gonna activate this now. I mean, everyone does something, but just in case they do something that I won't like, right? Kasai, how you doing, friend? What's good with you? But yeah, no, I'm just gonna dump Shizuku in the graveyard. That way I can get a bigger Shizuku. It takes away the surprise of the whole thing, but at the same time, it makes it so that I can freely yoink whatever they steal so they can't use it, right? Nice to see you on Master Duel. Yeah, I was about to go live. I hopped on for a game. I was watching, there's a content creator whose shorts I quite like them. They're Yu-Gi-Oh related. Okay, he's summoning that to do a thing again, I believe. Yes, he is. Discard one card. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Eesh. Okay, anyway. We activate this. I think this one does another fusion summon. So we negate and we yoink. And I'm assuming he surrenders here unless he's got something. No response. Take the monster. Mine. Put it over there. Mine. Don't let him fuse. He might have something else. Oh, what is that? Who are you? What do you do? If the card, banish 7 cards from your hand, field or graveyard special. Oh, okay, cool. So that's another card on the field. I guess he can do something. I was digging. Wait, what did he just do? What did he just do? Try one face up monster your opponent controls chain. Hey! That was mine! Well, it was yours, but I made it mine. What are you summoning? What is this? The hell is that? Oh, you're bigger than me. Draw cards equal to the number of... Okay, cool. I was digging at a capture card so I can share it. Ah! Okay, whatever. Summon array, face up defense. Can you stop that? You son of... Okay, alright. Alright. During share game was when his girlfriend almost freaked out, even his important part was missing. Oh, that's not great. That's not great. Yeah, no, we're doing Nexus today. I was just in the middle of this game and I didn't want to surrender because it's been very back and forth between me and this person. And I've quite enjoyed this, right? I've quite enjoyed this game thus far. We have been... Well, I know he has much less life points than me. But as it right now... Oh! Can he take back the face down card? I'm fine with that if he can. Oh, he can! Okay, cool. Alright. Turn change. Draw. Not what I wanted to see. Not what I wanted to see. Alright, well, what does this Chimera thing do? I can't target it? Draw cards equal number. What does this say? Well, you cannot target this card with card effects while that's in the graveyard. Okay. I guess just to be safe, we Dark Ruler. Not even to be safe. He's gonna fuse again next turn. I can yoink what he fuses into next turn, so I'm safe for one more turn. But I should deal with that. I should deal with the Guardian Chimera, just so it's not a problem for me later. He's gonna flip that other card up face. He's gonna flip it back face up next turn, and I'm not going to be ready for it in any capacity. But it is what it is. This is a good way to start your weekend. Hey, it is what it is. That plot armor is crazy. I'm trying my best. As long as Master Duel keeps Maxi at 3, I find it hard to pry myself away and try my hand at the TCG format. I will probably never play TCG. Physical cards, it just seems too tedious. I'm a man who likes simplicity. I appreciate it. I like it when things are made easy for me, right? So have you seen the new Sky Striker support or not? I have indeed. I'm using it. Well, unless there's new support, but as of right now, I've got the thing that switches my Sky Striker cards. Haven't bothered to learn its name. And the big kaiju boy guy thing. He's not as good as I thought he would be. He's just about okay. I'm gonna let him discard for cost first. Let's let him discard for cost first. Oh. Hold on. Fusion summon one monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz, using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. That doesn't seem balanced. You cannot special monsters in the extra deck except fusion monsters until you activate this card. I bet. So he's going for a summon, that's fine. He's going to summon from deck. He's going to summon from deck. I feel like I should yoink Albion now. Oh, but what if he just summons another Albion? I feel like if he summons something that can negate my negate, then I have a problem, but there's not much I can do in this situation, right? Well, the indie card game that you're working on, will it also be coming mobile when it finally launches? It's going to be primarily a mobile game. It's mobile primarily, right? So after this game is done, I plan on booting up Nexus and we can take a look. But like, for example, I can open my phone right now and the app that we're testing is currently a mobile game. I actually don't have a Steam port. And I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. And I feel like that's a problem for future me, future Saul. We hate that guy, right? So he's gonna figure out. Oh, cheeky bastard. Okay, so wait a second. Oh, because it's got a discard cost on it, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that you summon 2, even if you could activate the effects twice, because you have to discard for, unless you have a way to get another card in your hand, in which case, huh? Oh! That was clean! That was clean! That was clean! That was, no, oh man. Okay, so I'm in danger. I'm in danger. That was cold! That was cold! Oh, what a play! What an actual play. Albion the Branded Dragon, what do? Do you fuse again, don't you? Oh, I think I lose. That's 5,000. This is 0. He needs 3K. I'm guessing he can get 3K, surely. Banishing monsters from your hand, field, or graveyard. He emptied out his graveyard, but he's filled it back up by now. Surely he's... Oh, you hate to see it. You absolutely hate to see it. Well, it is what it is. I attempted to... Wait, hold on. Am I bad at math? No, I'm very good at math, actually. Okay, cool. Right? So will we ever go back to Duel Links? I mean, I play it on my phone every now and then, but I probably won't ever go back to making content for it. And I am clearly out of practice when it comes to Master Duel, so there is that. Right? You sure do hate Future Soul? Yeah, I do. Most valuable Yu-Gi-Oh game I've seen in a while, and I'm glad I wish I could get duels as fire as Saul does. I don't know what it is. Whenever I play, I feel like I have a decent enough time, but there are definitely those ones where just nothing happens and it's not fun. In any event. But yeah. In any event, that is about all the Yu-Gi-Oh that I planned on doing. To be fair, Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't part of the plan. I got back from work, was waiting for the stream to start, and I was like, hey, let's give this a shot. Also, I'm taking this tie off. Yeah, okay. Right? By the way, Future Soul doesn't exist if you don't believe in it. I miss the Duel Links days, I won't lie though. Duel Links just wasn't fun when you notice it's really pay to win. I mean, I agree with that sentiment. I personally was of the mindset that you could play any deck you wanted to. It just took more time and effort with the whole multiple account system. But I do get that perspective because it's tedious, right? Either you pay money or it's tedious. So what's the game plan now? So what the game plan is for today is I'm going to boot up TTS. Now, Neo was busy, but he said he would join us later on. So when he does join us, we are going to do start the last set of playtests. In the meantime, I'm going to be theory crafting. I hate that sound. Why do they do that anyway? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a deck. Am I going to build a deck? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Want to look at the lore? Oh, right. I haven't looked at your lore yet. Let's do that first. Right? Because basically we have a deck to test, and it's Wyvern's Ancient Beasts. And I already know that it's broken, right? I already know that it's broken. So it's a question of how do we make it not feel as broken? The solution that I initially thought of was, okay, add the cleanse rune to the game so that people can compete against the strategy. What did I just do? So that people can compete against the strategy, but I didn't, I don't think it's gonna be enough, so I will be making a change to Ancient Beasts that does make them significantly worse, unfortunately, but it's the only way I can think to keep the strategy alive without letting it just be the best deck in the game for now and forever. But in the immediate, let's take a look at the lore, right? Here it is, perfect. Right? We'll load this up and we'll look at this first. I don't have access. Request. Right? So if you can shoot me access to that, that would be phenomenal. What do I want to do? I had a game music. I wanted to put on the music from inside the game. Right? And put this down just a bit. And we close. Right? So yeah, that's it. So you got back from work. That explains the tie and your intimidating professional aura. Thank you. Thank you. It's mutually exclusive. Now Soul hates Future Soul. Future Soul hates Past Soul. Oh, absolutely. That guy sucks. Oh, by the way, while we wait for me to gain access, there's some cool stuff. By the way, do you think about doing some open betas? I've finally seen the rules, and I think I'm addicted to the game before it's even released. There will be open betas, but the game needs to be in a further fleshed out state. Although I'm so excited because I don't want to hype myself up too much, or get myself too excited, rather. I'm closer to the game being somewhat playable than I thought, right? Like, so all 123 cards, it's 123 now because of cleanse, are being added in the game. The card data is being added to the game right now, right? It's being added to the app. So when you go through the app, it'll basically be like a repository of information where if you wanted to look at a card, you could click on it and the abilities will be in the app. Cool. That's fine. That's going to be functional by the end of next week, right? Now, on the flip side of that, we've added the card rarity system, so standard rarity, limited rarity, and royal rarity, right? Which means we can get the shop up and running. Awesome, cool. At the very same time, I've got a different dev working on the game, right? Like the actual gameplay. And he sent me an update recently for the last milestone that we did. And it's like, okay, turn structure has been implemented. The timers aren't on it yet, but the game will go, preparation phase, declaration phase, the right things happen, you put your cards on the field, you declare them at the same time, cards move around for movement phase, so on and so forth. And I spent a day just breaking down all the steps that we have to take that are left. And yes, there's a lot. And I don't mean all in the sense of like, look at this, right? I don't mean all in the sense of like the game will be ready. No, the game will be ready to get to a point where we can get it ready. So basically, we're gonna put the 6-turn cap on in this order. We get the end phase mechanics working, so the runes go to the graveyard and Nexus cards go to the graveyard at the end of the turn, and obviously get the graveyard working. Awesome, fine. Now, for the next order we do, we're going, because the deck builder works and the game is being worked on by someone else, in the next order, we plug, it's like plugging in a socket. We make it so that the decks that you make in the deck builder can plug into the systems that we've already created for blank cards in the like gameplay section. And just like that, you can put the cards from your deck in the game, put them on the field, summon them. Your Nexus gauge will get reduced, so move around on the field. That's going to be in the next order, right? You'll draw your cards, all those kinds of things. And then we put the base effects mechanics in place where it's like, okay, the game will check whether or not there's an effect that can be activated beginning of the wave, end of the beginning of the wave. Wait, so start of wave start, end of wave start of the movement phase, end of the movement phase, so on and so forth, doing all the checks and balances, but the effects won't be ready. We get turn priority sorted out. I tried to sit down and think of all the things that needed to be in place for it to function properly. The hand mechanics, different mechanics, all those kinds of things. And then going in depth on the battle system will be order number 3. And then by order number 4 and 5, we're working on getting the status conditions into the game, right? So once all of that is done over the course of 4 orders, we will have a game that functions. The only thing is, none of the effects will work. And so each set of effects will be their own order, but someone would be able to pick up the game, look at it, and make sense of it and play it from the point of this order 5. The only difficulty that I will have is getting Team A to integrate the work of Team B into the main app, because all of this is being worked on a remote, with the remote code. We have a GitHub repository, but we haven't merged everything yet. It's technical jargon that I don't fully understand. I'm just a project manager at this point. But it looks promising, to say the least, that in the next, I could really, really realistically see within the next, I don't know if 4 months is too generous of an update, of an estimate. Let's say 4 to 6 months, right? I could genuinely see within 4 to 6 months us having all of this implemented, and that this is just the work of Team B. Team A at the exact same time will be working on getting, Team A will be working on getting the guild system working and the PvP systems working, right? Where it's like, okay, you're working on making the game work, you're working on connecting players. So with them working concurrently, it's the possibilities of where things end up. I just think that there's it's a good place to be. I know the effects will take way long. I have no way to guess or estimate how long it will take them to code the individual effects, but I'm feeling relatively confident about the framework. Okay, Storm with the renewed membership, 13 months. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. All right, so you pulled me back to reality, right? But yeah, so that's it. Did you get around to testing Harpy Reapers, or is it early onset dementia getting the better of me? No, so we haven't tested Harpy Reapers. We theory. I feel like I simmed them and we basically theory crafted with them, and it's like, yeah, they'll be cool, not broken, but probably the best way to play Reapers, so we felt fine about them. Yes, it will be a gacha. It will be a gacha, but it will be what I hope to be considered a generous gacha, where there are multiple avenues to obtaining the cards that you want. But yeah, excuse me. I definitely spun the wheel this week, and my gaming edition gave me a secret Perlinio from Pote. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like you're happy about it, so that's vibes. All right, so let's take a look at this lore. Right, let's take a look at this lore. Oh wait, so if I understood Soul lore, we're having a filler arc, after of which the game is functional, but effects won't activate. Just huge pain, but we're seeing a bit the light at the end of the tunnel. That sentence didn't make sense to me, but I'm good. Yes, I think, I hope. In any event, so let's check this out. Let's check this out. Not to mention, I didn't even mention the animations that are being worked on right now, thanks to Zane. The donation that Zane did went straight into animation, because I did not know how we were going to get the entirety of the shop and card animations done. Those are done. Well, they're not done now. They're being worked on now. They should be done halfway through next month. There's only a few more animations that will be needed after that, but those will just be for promotion of the game. Like, I want to do an anime opening as part of the promo for it. Maybe a few flashy things here or there, but other than that, that's sorted. Things are just looking good. Perlinio was a field spell for Terra. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It has it. Yeah, there are. I get distracted too easily. Do I? I don't have a way to show you the animations right now, because I don't have a thing to plug my phone into the thing. But yeah, there are animations in it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm gonna put the volume down on this a little bit. so I don't distract myself. I get distracted a bit too easily. Okay, now, gimme. What happens when you die? An enticing question, my child. So we're fully taking the approach of a narrator for this, which I like, because if you read the lore for, I don't know, this just feels like a very in-person kind of thing. Like, already, I'm getting old creepy witch vibes. And I don't know if that's on purpose, but I'm here for it. Now, do you go to heaven, hell, Valhalla, rebirth, exist as an incorporeal form for a while? Is there nothing after death even? Well, young one, that entirely depends on you. Do you believe in any of those things? Something else? That's a lot of questions back to back. How would we put that in the actual text of the game? What happens when you die? An enticing question, my child. Do you go to heaven, to hell, Valhalla, rebirth? Exist as an incorporeal form for a while. Is there nothing after death even? Well, young one, that entirely depends on you. I don't know if I would make this an exclamative. I feel like it would be more ominous. Do I have editing power? I do! I feel like I would put in ellipses here rather than an exclamative, just to make it more mysterious, because I feel like all these questions build a sense of mystery. And I get that, like, for example, if I was telling a story verbally, and I was like, oh, like, question, and then I shout, it's like, okay, yeah, that's you've gripped the listeners. But in a written format, where I'm the one reading it, I'm reading it in a mysterious tone, okay, and then I see the exclamative, and I might have already read it as like a low thing, and then I have to raise it mentally, whereas the ellipsis sort of just lets the thought fade off and be more mysterious, in my opinion, right? I was about to renew my membership just because I want to see waifu animations, but well, YouTube won't let me say, hey, it's okay, I appreciate it still, thank you. Do you believe in any of those things? Something else? You do? Oh, it's interactive. We could do that. Oh, but if they say no, we'd have to if they say no, we'd have to have a response for if they say no. Okay, so not that. It'll just be the storyteller being like, you do. So maybe we put another ellipses as in like the time that the person would have to give their response. So I would go like ... the person waiting for a response, then it goes, you do, then all is well. For each doctrine has a guide. So it shall happen as you know it to be in your heart. I don't know what that means, but I feel like I'm not supposed to. Though, I guess, there are those who fight this in life, in death. What happens to them is unpleasant. You might have heard legends about them. Some people call them ghosts. Others call them demons, yokai, I can't see. Or cryptids. Okay. Let's see here. It's like listening in, but only hearing one side of the conversation. I see. Now, maybe I'm dumb, but this isn't impossible to make it interactive. The source seems fire, and I want to see it in action. So, we could, but I feel like it complicates things in a way that hasn't been put into the game yet. And I don't think it would be too difficult to implement, but it's not something that I've considered thus far with the devs. Well, that's a lie, actually, because I have. But I don't know that it's actually going to be implemented in that way. So basically, later on in the game's lifespan, for the events, I've got a couple of events that I've already planned out that I would like to do. One of them is a roguelite, where you get a set number of cards and you go through the story and... No, sorry, I've confused myself. One of them is like a Nuzlocke, where you get a set number of cards and go through the story, and when your cards get destroyed, they're gone. You can't just no more. Which is really fun. But then the other one was a story-driven roguelite, right? Where you would get to choose different things each time, but that would mean coding different answers into the game. And I hadn't really thought about how we were going to cross that bridge, because I made it Future Sol's problem. And I'm Future Sol. And I'm passing the baton to Future Sol. I don't know how we're going to do that. Anyway, let's keep going. Right. So. Oh, yes. I'm okay, my dear. I just got lost in my memories for a moment. Now, where was I? Alright. We call them doppelgangers, for what they do is just that. They use duplicity and diplomacy to blend into influential positions all over the world, trying to fulfill longings and desires that keep them bound to this world. As the afterlife is given shape by our imagination, so are they. They come from the space between spaces, fading souls restored, wayward souls misguided, all by the power of human ambition. So I'm liking this lore. I think it does take a while to start getting to the we call them doppelgangers part, so I would maybe trim a sentence here or a sentence there, but at the same time, so far I am invested. I feel like I wavered a bit in this section, but now that we're talking about the subject matter, I'm more like, okay, so these are dead guys. They've come back to do things and stuff, and we'll find out what it is here. If you find it hard to understand, I shall give you some examples. How about Graf Friedrich von Frankfurt? So I got that wrong, but I feel like I was always going to get that wrong, and that's okay. A being commonly known as Nixie. Nixie! Nixie's a good name. Nixie's an easy name. I'm gonna call him Nixie. A being commonly known as Nixie. Once upon a time, he was living in medieval Germany, a small lord whose peers would only interact with him if absolutely needed. Now after Undeath being his death, he walks in high society in Europe, using his unnatural abilities to charm people, forcing them to like him. Or how about Duchess Bordeggio, a Venetian low-born lady with a taste for the Oriental, who died from an unfortunate mix-up, being assassinated in someone else's stead. She now is trying to leave her mark on the powers ruling Italy, wearing an eternal mask, for she erased her own face. Okay. Oh yes, she got rid of it. Where there should be a face with eyes, a nose, a mouth, and in my case, wrinkles, she now has only a blank slate. A canvas is transformed into whatever woman she needs to replace. Another one, let me think. Now. This is a very interesting take. This is a very interesting take on the lore. No one's done this yet. No one's done this yet, and I don't know how to feel. This is oh, Neo's here. Hello, my friend. A play on Shintoistic beliefs with my own twist on it. Fairs. Yeah, there are planned events already, but I still need to go in and get into it, right? Now, where was I? Okay, yes, another one, let me think. There is Adzi, just Adzi, a young Aztec woman who got mauled by a wild animal whilst pregnant with twins. She now roams the jungles of cities in South America, inhabiting mothers of twins. So, relatively easy to fix. So with the lore of Summoner's Nexus, none of these real world countries would exist, right? But that's easy enough to change, right? Because this feels very, very much rooted. Are these real people? It feels very much rooted in like history, more so than anything that we've done up until now, right? What's the unexplored lore? We're doing doppelgangers. And taking a look. This feels more that's it. It feels more noir than fantasy. Everything we've done up until now has been fantasy. This feels more noir mystery than fantasy. Right? Which I'm not necessarily against. At first I thought it felt sort of like a roll call, where like it didn't feel like there was necessarily a story as much as it was this mysterious, like, okay, we're learning something about these things, but we're not really learning anything about them. And then I realized, wait a second, that's the point, I think, of this kind of story. I don't do a lot of dabbling in this kind of literature, but I think that's sort of the point, where it's like giving the edges of a myth, where it's like, these are these ghostly, mysterious creatures, beware. It's not about them going on an adventure, it's not about their experiences, it's just beware these spooky boys. And I think I'm here for that, because we haven't done anything like that before. If someone isn't ready for that, because if you see fantasy, and then you get mystery noir, you might be thrown. But if you actually take the time, as I feel like I'm doing now, to like get it, I'm here for it. They're not real people, but based on real folklore beings. I see. Okay. So they're not real people, they're just your take on Japanese lore. I'm here for it. So the only thing I think we would need to do is sort of scrub it so that it doesn't reference any real places. Because, for example, in the context of Summoner's Nexus, Italy, how do I explain this the best? Italy was probably destroyed centuries ago. I've never thought about that, but there's a good chance that if I were to sit down and actually, like, okay, do the math for how that would work in terms of how the world works, anything that comes from myth, I just deem as the old world, and then I leave it vague, right? I've never actually sat down to calculate exactly what is still in place and what isn't still in place, but just anything in that sense has to be left vague. But other than that, that's okay, right? Okay, let's keep going. So then there's Atsi, just Atsi, a young Aztec woman who got mauled by wild. Oh wait, no, I read this already, right? She now roams the jungles and cities of South America, inhabiting mothers of twins, for she is envious and wants to experience the life she was denied. Now she is not malevolent. In fact, whilst the woman might get dreams about Atsi's life before death, Atsi will protect them and their children with all her might. Yes, she does sound nice. See, these returned spirits are not always bad. Most of them just want to encounter something they never had in life. Alas, most of them also can't stop chasing those encounters. How very human. That reminds me, there was this Victorian-era gentleman from York, one Edmont Thatcherton, very pragmatic fellow, but terribly shy. He died in a terrible car accident, poor man. We don't have cars. we don't have cars. Well, he came back as well, technically we have cars. Technically. He came back as a kind gelatinous blob person, a bona fide shapeshifter. He now spends his time utilizing his newfound abilities to connect with people, trying his best to help where he can. I met him twice now. Very gentle man. Nowadays he roams the streets of Melbourne, I believe. Now it's good to be curious, but who asks someone else what they are? Well, I am of course human, though truthfully I might be more human than most. Anyways, how about you head to bed now, young summoner? Tomorrow's a new day to fulfill your wishes. So yeah, this is very much not a story. Not a story in the traditional sense where it's like you don't have a protagonist or a group that you're following and you're finding out things. No, this is like a rogues gallery type situation, right? Again, very different from what I was expecting, but I think for a group of ghosts is probably the more fitting way to go about it. I think this is the kind of thing that if done too often would definitely end up turning people off, right? I will be 100% honest in saying that while I took the time to get it, I don't know that this will necessarily be people's favorite lore, because you don't actually find out, well, you know their backstories in terms of like, oh yeah, this happened to them and they died, and so here they are. So I think people who are into that kind of stuff will love it. But at the same time, like for example, you don't have, like with the Minotaurs, what happened to the Minotaurs? Their mother's the one who cursed them, and we see what led to the curse and turned them into Minotaurs, and they were 4 princes, and they can't use swords anymore. It's a whole thing, right? So it's different in that sense, but I do think it has its place within the world of Summoner's Nexus, so I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, my friend, right? I know them as German, might not be General Europe. I see, aight. Oh, so Luxus is here. Hi, friend. Welcome. We were going through the doppelganger lore that Storm prepared, that Ira prepared. Also, I tried to imply that person we are hearing is Yahweh. It's largely probably because I don't know who that is, but I did not know who that was. But regardless, I think it's well done. I think the tone is well done. It's well constructed. It feels creepy. It feels ominous. Again, I got creepy old woman vibes around a campfire from this, as I think it should have been, as I think is supposed to be the case here. It will stand out a lot from the other lore in the game for good reason. And I think it does its job. It'll need to be brushed over, so I'll brush over it that way, because again, it'll be too difficult. Someone who hasn't, like, for example, the story isn't fully out, so you wouldn't know where and what to say or where or what to use. So I'll just take this, add it into the main files, and reconstruct anything that doesn't fit into the world of Nexus. I think it's good, right? Do you think you look over the new Mechstar changes on stream, or do you already plan to do it off camera? New Mechstar changes, I have looked over them. Did I not message you? Did I not message you? I didn't message you. I just realized, no. I looked at them while I was at work. I did not message you. I apologize. I have looked at the new Mechstar changes. So yeah, Ira, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Different takes for different folks. Could be popular niche. It's great to have these different styles. Exactly. So what I'm really loving about having different people writing lore is the different styles that we're getting. I'm good at fantasy writing, and I might be able to write a mystery, but I don't think this would ever have been my first approach to a story. I don't think it ever would have been. And so this is a unique perspective that we wouldn't have otherwise gotten, which is why having different writers, I feel like, keeps it interesting. My job, I think, is just quality control, right? Where just make sure, like, it's interesting, make sure that it's engaging. I feel like this falls under the more engaging side of things, where it's like, okay, this is a very unique take on what we've been doing for Nexus. So I'm here for it, right? But yeah, that's about it. Oh, you mean the literal Yahweh? I didn't realize. Okay, God. Yeah, no, I know Yahweh in that sense. I just thought you meant something else by Yahweh because yeah, I don't know, right? But yeah, that's it. Oh, very good, very nice. Thank you very much for this. So, I will. Do I do this now? You know what? No, I'll leave the tab open so I don't have to go through all of the files. No, I'm going to add this to the main files. Hold on to it. And that should be fine. What else am I missing? I mean, I had a few notes. Let me turn off the screen so that it doesn't, I'm learning now to not put DMs on stream because people don't like it when I do that and I feel bad. I will open this and then I will come back. Small Saul. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, Saul, I have looked at it. I did have feedback. Was I able to edit? Because I didn't try. I probably am. Okay, yes, I am able to edit. Wait a second. Wait, did I respond? No. Okay, so I flashed the DMs by mistake. I meant to change the screen beforehand. Hold on. So yeah, what I had said was that I would just make a few changes and finalize it. Okay, so I did send that message. So yeah, basically, I had a few things that I wanted to change, but it's fine in the sense of like you won't have to go over it again. I'm just gonna make the few changes here and there and add it in, right? Okay, now. Wait, most people writing lore, so the donor donated some a few months ago are able to write some stories. I'm down for multiple writing stories. Yeah, effectively, because they had their own subsets made, so if they want to come up with lore for that subset, then yes, right? I consider myself a painter with words. I can give you a good scene and lead you through it, and I hope I'm flexible enough to tackle any other genres. See, that's good on you, because I'm not planning on trying to do any other genres. I'm sticking with what I'm good at, because that's just what I do, right? But no, that's good. It's good. Now, I'll tell you what I'm planning on changing, just so you know what is going to be changed. This one is good. This one was good. All the green stuff was good stuff from before, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, command was good. Behind enemy lines, this one's gonna have to get scrapped entirely. So, in order to do this, there's two problems with this. I have an entire subset planned that has the ability to steal other cards' effects, right? It's not a problem for other cards to also have that ability. Like, for example, there are multiple cards that can fortify, there are multiple cards that can move things around, even though that's what Ryu does, right? So that's not where the problem lies. The problem lies in that the reason why that, because unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't steal effects, right? If an effect says, hey, use like the wandering effects, let you tribute cards to boost other wandering cards, that's subset specific. So if you copied that, it wouldn't do anything because your other cards aren't wandering cards. Most subsets have subset specific effects. Now in some niche situations, you'd be able to make that work, but that means your effect will only work maybe 50% of the time when an effect doesn't specifically either affect the other cards in the deck or it doesn't require the use of a card from a different deck. Now, how the deck that copies effects works around this is the induction the induction status effect. They will, on summon, induct themselves into the subset that their opponent is playing, making it so that they do all of them will count as the required things to use the effects and whatnot. So that's why they're able to do that. Whereas with this, maybe even if this card said, hey, induct me into the subset, 50% of the time it'll still be useless because a lot of cards have effects that help the other cards around them because the archetypes work holistically with each other, right? Certain effects are fine to copy, mind you, but then I feel like it just doesn't fit as neatly, in my opinion. But what my question for you is, why would she need to become void? Why does she need to become void for this? Target an avatar on the field. This card gains its a stats and it gains its stats to the end of the turn. This card becomes void and can use 2 total abilities this turn. Why does she want to be void? Right? For all I knew, I just assumed you need to change it without even looking. No. Is there anything Celestis needs to, or are you just going to change it when you add it to the E-Dock? Yeah, I'm just going to change it when I add it to the Master Dock. Right? I'm just going to change it when I add it to the Master Dock. Right? Because if she's infiltrating as the enemy, she shouldn't be attacked by said enemy. But then if her attack and defense boost only last until the end of the turn, then that means why give her the attack and defense boost if she's going to be void while she has them? Because that means she can't battle anyway, right? And if the stealing abilities doesn't work, I mean, this effect basically reads, boost your stats, don't do anything, and then your stats go back down. Like, if it may as well just read she becomes void for a turn, which, I mean, could be a thing, makes it easier to get through the counter zone, right? That's the only real benefit I can see to that. Is that it makes it so that if she wants to get past the counter zone, she can just go, but her stats aren't really high enough to be a main attacker. So it's like, okay, what is her job with that effect? So I don't know that I agree. I think behind enemy lines, the idea to let you get to the counter zone I think is cool, but if that is the case, right, if she's just becoming void for a turn, I don't know. I always forget the void actually moves, right? Oh yeah, I forgot to set the attack and defense for only the end of the turn. Yes, right, yes, the void cards can move, so like you could infiltrate with that, but then the attack and defense boosts don't do anything because you can't battle while you have them. So it might as well just say, this card becomes void until the end of the turn. And it's 2 abilities. How do we do this? Because there's an idea here, and I don't want to just scrap the idea. Target an avatar on the field. This card's name, abilities, attack, and defense become the same as that avatar's abilities until the end of the turn. Okay. Because again, the induction mechanic can solve that problem for certain cards. But I don't want to introduce a system. Well, I guess, is that a skill issue? Do I not need to worry about that? Where it's like a player tries to copy an effect and it either doesn't do anything even though they inducted themselves, or X, Y, or Z takes place. Target an avatar on the field. This card's name, abilities, attack, and defense become the same as that avatar's until the end of this turn. What role is this card meant to be? I feel like if we clarify what we want it to do, that's what I'm saying, right? So we need to clarify what we want it to do. This card becomes void until the end of this turn. Target an avatar on the field. This card's name, abilities, and attack and defense become that avatar's. Okay, so we just remove until the end of the turn. Okay. Oh, that was black. I just couldn't see it because I was looking at it differently. Okay. Target an avatar on the field. Yo! Yo, Storm with the 10 gifted memberships. Bro, thank you. Hey! Broski. Thank you massively for that, my guy. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Every little bit does do help towards the game, towards its production, its creation, all that good stuff. Thank you very much, my friend. Bye. Have a great night. Thank you very, very much. I take my leave. Have a good one, bro. I appreciate that massively. Right? But yeah. A parting gift, you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Target an avatar on the field, and now it happens. Of course. Target an avatar on the field. This card's name, abilities, attack, and defense because it's become the same as that avatar's. Now, if we do, it's gonna go for all of them. And you know what? I'm to be fair, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I just wish it wasn't so delayed. This card becomes void until the end of this turn. Target an avatar on the field. This card's name, ability. So the name doesn't need to change. The name doesn't need to change because gaining in this game, at least right now, gaining a card's name doesn't do anything for you. Most effects aren't name specific. And when an effect is name specific, like for example the Wyverns with Omnis, well, if you target Ignis, you have Ignis's name, but you still don't have Omnis. If you target Omnis, you have Omnis's name, but you still don't have Ignis. So it would only work if multiple cards are doing this at the same time, right? The abilities. Copying abilities as an individual card. I'm just trying to think, because there are some good ones. Like, for example, you could copy, like, I was gonna say Umbrage, but by also copying his stats, you just got an Umbrage for 300. Also, wait, no, hold on. So when you copy the abilities, do you lose your abilities? Does it just replace it? I would think that it does, so you could only use this once. I feel like, okay, hold on. It's coming together. It's making sense. Do I like the idea of 100 cost Umbrage? 100 cost Umbrage with no additional support doesn't seem that bad, and it's only going to be a problem in the Reaper matchup. I don't think I have a problem with that. Ryu can only switch with wandering cards, but so switch wouldn't work. Oh, okay. Think so. Take a step back. So, what I could do, it would replace the abilities. That's why the original had this card can use 2 total abilities per turn part. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have it use 2 total abilities per turn. I would just have it be, it steals the abilities this turn, it can use them from next turn, so you wouldn't need to say it can use 2 abilities per turn, right? Can you activate the effects of the copy card that turn? No, I would say no. I would say no. Right? I would say you can't use the copied ability that turn. That way your opponent has time to prepare and respond. Okay. I feel like this card is doing 2 different things now, because I'm still wrestling with the copy abilities thing. But if we're copying abilities, I don't think that it can be void and copy abilities at the same time. That's too much power in one effect, because that means you can copy your opponent's strongest card while also getting to bypass their counter zone completely in the same breath with one effect from one card. That's too much power in one effect, in my opinion, for when I'm thinking that of the range of time that I'd like this deck to come out. So I don't think I'm here for that. Right, exactly. Imagine a void Umbrage. I feel like that's way too much power in one thing. The problem is, okay, no, here's what I'm going to say. I don't think it should be able to copy abilities, all right? Because again, I'm starting to work out how it might be possible, but we would have to take away the void status. And I feel like what this card does, that whole behind enemy lines concept, is the void status. At the point at which we take that away, it's no longer that sneaky infiltration kind of thing. It's just, I copied your abilities. It's just something else, right? So I'm going to lean in favor of target an avatar on the field. This card's attack and defense become the same as that avatar's. This card's attack and defense become the same as that avatar's. This card's original attack and defense. You shouldn't get to copy your opponent's status boots for free. This card's original attack and defense become the same as that avatar's. This card becomes void until the end of the turn. I feel like that's okay. You can copy any card as long as you have it in your deck, as the card you have won't have its ability, as your deck doesn't have the required synergy. I feel like that's too complicated. I see the logic there. It makes sense. Too complicated, right? Right? Yeah, I think that's what I would do for this. So you just target an avatar on the field, copy its stats, boom, you're void, but you've got a beat stick that got to get through the counter zone for you, right? Yeah, no, that's the plan. So it gets the original specifically because in a situation where you buff up the original attack and defense, you won't be able to copy that. But in a situation where you've brought down the original attack and defense, you can still get prime real estate. And that should be okay. However, this has to be conditional. when this card is summoned, target an avatar on the field. This isn't a cost as much as a condition, so it would be the colon. This card's original attack. If you ever have questions about easy access card text, it's all in the rule book. There's an entire section on how the card text and everything is applied. This card's original attack becomes the same as that avatar's. This card becomes void, so this would be the secondary effect. So this would go in brackets. This card becomes void until the end of the turn. You put this in this until the end of this turn. Boom, perfect. Right? Bellatrix was a tough one to make because her theme specifically had so much potential. That's fair. I think that's fair. Right now, there were a few others that I did take issue with. I think experimental mishap is fine. Reveal the top card of your resource pile or a random card in your hand. Your opponent does the same. You just get yourself more information. I think that's okay. I think Future Sight is good. Excuse me. Recharge. Is it this? Yes, it's this. This is just broken. This is just broken. This is recharge. Target a Mechstar avatar whose attack and defense is no. Yes, no, yes, we'll see. Okay, that was an internal debate I just had with myself, and I guess I should explain why. You've got the ability transport. Target one Mechstar avatar you control. Reduce your Nexus gauge by half the target summoning cost. Then return that avatar to your hand and summon a different Mechstar avatar from your hand with the same rank to the location of the returned avatar. Now, this ability allows you to get Mechstars back in your hand, which refreshes their stats. That is fine. However, if we're balancing certain cards around the fact that they are on summon effects, and you can achieve multiple summons of the same card relatively easily. My thought process is it could be fine because you do still have to pay half of the rank cost, but the other half of my brain is like, wait a second, that's kind of crazy. Where it's like, hey, I can just let's say I copy the stats of your Umbridge. I'm void for the first turn. I'm void for the turn that I'm summoned, right? So let's say I'm summoned turn 1, I copy an Umbridge, or I'm summoned turn 2 and I copy an Umbridge. Go through, use my Umbridge stats, don't die. So this is turn 2. Then at the end of turn 2, get bounced back to hand, right? Get bounced back to hand. Another card gets summoned, gets to use its effect, and then boom, I just put myself back on the field and refresh those stats again, right? In the long scheme of things, that might not be insane, but for something scheduled for year 1, year 2, where we're not sure exactly what the meta will look like, that does seem like a lot. And that's just 2 of the cards. This isn't counting their token generation abilities or anything like that. This is only counting their secondary effects. I'm willing to leave this and see how it goes because it could be fun and I like chaos, but that seems like a lot. This upset is broken. They acquired some good abilities. On a tangent to maliciously derail, Chick-fil-A sauce really do be hit. Chick-fil-A sauces, it hits different. It hits different no matter what time of day it is. I love it. No Soul at most. Denebola is only gaining 50 attack and defense. I misread my own card. No, this is too strong. I got distracted before we even got back to this. Let's get back to this. Target a Mechstar avatar whose attack and defense is lower than its original. That card's attack and defense become equal to its original, then increase your Nexus gauge by 100. So basically, just, hey, reset your stats and gain 100 points in your Nexus gauge with no cost whatsoever. No. No. That's not happening. I'm sorry. Now, what we could do instead is, if the aim is to recharge and try and regain some life points, what I think could rationally and reasonably be done is have it so that the recharge ability doesn't reset stats, because that's not a cost. That's a benefit. So if anything, my personal thoughts are tribute a token that still exists, tribute a Mechstar token that you have, and then you can regain life points off of the tributed token. There you go, right? So you give up void presence, but you can basically make it so your summons are partially reduced in cost or partially free, but there's counterplay in that if your opponent is able to destroy the tokens before you're able to activate recharge, then you're good. And that would be how that would work, right? Right? Dogen's attack or defense? No. Yes? No. Does that allow for too many variables? Think so. No, that's broken. No, that's broken. That's broken. That's broken. We can't do this. Because, for example, you summon a token with... Do they all have 100? Are they all at 100? Okay, fine. Let's take this one at the top at 150. You tribute this token at a base level, you gain 150 life points. Now, you pay 200 to summon that token, so you think that's not crazy. That's not crazy until you realize there's attack and defense boosting cards like Golgotha, which can boost this card by another 100. There's the Aria subset, which can boost it by another 100 on top of that, and then just like that, a single play nets you. And those are just with the cards we have in the base game right now, not counting other stuff coming out in year 1 that can boost attack in a generic sense. This could net you 1,000 life points. If you do enough stacking and snapshotting, the amount of life points you could get off of this is absurd. That's way too broken. Right? That's what that generic Nexus Gauge card does. Yeah, no, that's too strong. That's too strong. It would be tribute a Mexar prototype token you control. Increase your Nexus Gauge by the... I don't even want to say by the cost paid to summon it. Think so. Because having the tokens, using the tokens, makes your summons free after that. So if you regain the entire cost, it's basically just saying this effect basically just reads, hey, that rank 3 you summoned, that summon was free now. You just gain that back. So you have to be careful. Increase your Nexus Gauge by 50. So in the case of rank 2 cards, that gives you more than what you paid, right? For a rank 2 card, I would have paid 100 to summon the token, and now you're saying I get 150. So the first number that comes to my head is either 100 or 50. If we say 100, that still makes your rank 2 summons free, while mitigating the cost of your rank 3 summon down by 100. So that still only costs you 100, right? So again, when you're playing with the Nexus Gauge, you have to be very careful. When this card is summoned, can this card, because again, I'm weary about trying to balance these cards with when this card is summoned effects, right? Because they can be summoned multiple times. We've seen that we have to be careful with Nexus Gauge gain, and we've seen stall gain. Exactly. We don't want to empower stall, per se. I think stall strategies have a place in any game, but we don't want to blatantly empower that playstyle over others. I had an idea, a subset meant to trigger everyone's OCD on how the game has been set up. The stat lines are 25s. No, I don't need to read anything else. No, that's me. You'll do that to me. No, I refuse. When this card is summoned, tribute a Mexar prototype token you control, increase your Nexus Gauge by 50. This way, she can only use the effect one time while on the field, and you are giving up a precious resource to use it. When this card is summoned, increase your Nexus Gauge by 50. Well, now you've made it useless. Increase your Nexus Gauge by 150. Okay, so if we're if we're gonna balance these effects on the fact that they are when this card is summoned, if we're going to do that, then you can't have the card, you can't have command, right? Wait, is it command? No, it's... In fact, no, wait, no. No, so it does, no. Because I was only thinking of the other effect. I was thinking of transport, which says, hey, reduce your Nexus Gauge by half of the target summoning cost and return it to your hand to summon a different one. That's something that gets your resources back. Then command says, hey, when I'm summoned, just take something out of the graveyard and put it back in your hand. There's saying that this deck only works when cards are summoned doesn't mean anything because they can do that so often, right? Yeah, I think it's just this. It's not the strongest thing in the world, but it works. Tribute to Maxstar prototype, don't control. Increase the Nexus gauge by 50. That's it. That's it. Right? I think Nexus gauge should be capped at 150 to 200 max TBH. The comedy is too powerful. Wait. It should be absolute dog water, but this is too funny. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, so that will be recharged because the alternative does a bit too much, right? Now let's keep going. Did I have a problem with agile? Yes, I did. So activate before any. So I understood the logic for it. You can dash around the field supporting her allies. That's cool. She's basically a stronger Ryu because he doesn't need a target. She doesn't need a target to shift. She just does it, right? Here's the problem. She can't be destroyed until the start of the next turn. She's not fortified. She's not anything. She just can't be destroyed. Which means that on 3 of the 6 turns of the game, no matter what, your opponent cannot kill you. Because turn 1, you summon Lady and you put her somewhere. Don't care. Turn 2, move her to your defense zone. Doesn't matter what your opponent has going on. They could be playing the strongest cards in the game. They can't get through her. Turn 3, I don't know, play Shield Wall or something. You move her somewhere else. She can't be destroyed. Awesome, cool, she's vibing, she's chilling. Turn 4, bring her back. Easy, chilling, having a good time. You can't die. So on and so forth. You see the issue. Right? So that in my opinion is way too strong. Right? So I thought about it actually. I thought like, okay, is there a merit to, like, for example, with Gladiators, Hadrian can do something like that where, hey, he can't be destroyed, but he gets cursed when he does that. When he uses the effect that keeps him from being destroyed, he goes to the graveyard at the end of the next turn. So at most, he will give you 2 turns of protection if you choose to use him that way, right? At most. Now, oh wait, you changed something. Activate before any movement phase. Move this avatar to any of your zones. Oh wait, no, you didn't. I thought I did. Anyway, okay, then here's my question. Will fortified protection from being destroyed by the Nexus? No, it will not. No, it will not. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. Currently, there is no status effect that can protect you from the Nexus. It's not a thing. Activate before any movement phase. Move this avatar to any of your zones, and this card cannot be destroyed until the start of the next turn. Because that's my main reason for having her unable to be destroyed. Activate before any movement phase. Hi. So you want something that can jet into the Nexus. You want something that can jet into the Nexus. Yeah. Move this avatar to any of your zones. Fortified only stops your stats from being reduced by battle, meaning you don't die from that battle. You can only put her in the Nexus safely by using the ability, and she can only stay there for 1 turn. Outside of that, I'm fine with her just being fortified to save the Nexus for a turn. I mean, I think even giving this ability fortification is wild. There was another card that I read below that it's just gonna have to be, I don't even think I can rework it. It will probably just have to be scrapped, and you'll see why in a second. I'm being very merciless. I'm sorry. I hope this isn't coming off the wrong way. You worked hard on this, and I'm just being like, no. I'm happy because you provided a skeleton. You provided the base works. So if you, I just realized. Wait, hold on. I heard that, and I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. That sounds a bit too harsh. That's more harsh than what you feel right now. No, I'm just being honest, right? You know me. But yeah, this thing jetting around the field, even being fortified, just being like, hey, I'm just gonna soak up your attacks this turn. You just bounce between here and the counter zone. Just this card is infinite disruption, even as fortified. Like, okay, you have to hit me twice or I don't die. I even with that, consistently every turn fortifying. I don't know if I agree. Right? This is why I left the balance. I left the balance in like Zane and Neo handle gameplay. Exactly. Right? If you attack a fortified card with 0 attack, does it lose fortified? Yes, it does. Fortified just soaks up the first hit you take, no matter how much damage it would have dealt to you, right? If you are a card with 500 points of stats and you get hit, you get attacked by a 50 attack monster, doesn't matter that that card would have done nothing. It still breaks your fortified status. The benefit that you have though is that the strongest cards usually attack first, so you tend to soak up more. Let's see here. Okay, this is the easiest fix. This is the easiest fix. She's a support type. Activate before any movement phase. So this would be at the start of movement phase 1 or 2. At the start of movement phase 1 or movement phase 2. Move this avatar. Place this avatar in a zone you control. It is treated as having been rank cost summoned in the relevant location. End. Right? It's a support type, which means that it can be rank cost summoned into the Nexus. So if you do put it in the Nexus with this effect, it won't be destroyed. It can just stay there if it wants to. There we go. We've got a dude, lady, whatever they. All right, these are sky ladies, so that is fine. Yeah, and she can now move around unprotected. We're not giving her that defense, but yeah, food subset is already made. It's done. I'm pretty sure. Yep, we've got the Doblaze. With the Doblaze subset is one of the first year ones actually. It's about the Pillsbury Doughboy. At least that's what I call it. Right? Now, let's keep going. Quick repair. When an extra avatar you control would be destroyed while this card is in your hand. Huh? I didn't read this before, did I? There was another one that I did read. Okay, yes, I read this. Warning. When an extra avatar you control is targeted by an effect while this card is in your hand, reduce your Nexus gauge by 50, discard this card. That card becomes cleansed for the rest of this wave. I think that's perfect. Now this one I didn't read, but no. When an extra avatar you control would be destroyed while this card is in your graveyard, that avatar is not destroyed. It becomes fortified until the end of this turn. And return this card to your hand? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is too easy to achieve. And it brings the card back to you. If it removed itself from the game, maybe. In fact, if it removed itself from the game, yes. Yes, I would give this to you. Yes, you know what? I'm just going to change it. When an extra avatar you control will be destroyed while this card is in your graveyard, that avatar becomes fortified. Well, while this card is in your graveyard... Well, when an extra avatar you control would be destroyed by battle, and I'm just going to say that this is a graveyard effect. Right? So, skull emoji. Right? I'm just going to grab a skull emoji. Copy. Right? So we know that this is a conditional. We know this is a conditional effect. When an extra avatar you control would be destroyed. Remove this card from the game. That avatar becomes fortified. That avatar would be destroyed by an incoming attack. Remove this. Would be destroyed by an incoming attack. Remove this card from the game. That avatar becomes fortified. That avatar. If something else destroys it, then fine. That avatar becomes fortified. You don't have to specify until the end of the turn because the attack would then break the fortification. And it's not coming back to hand. And I feel like I can live with that. I feel like I can live with that because that means your deck composition has to reflect this playstyle. If you're only playing 5 of these things at a synergy rating of 5, and you use this effect, boom, all their effects turn off, right? Which means that you have to be playing at least 6, which raises the effective synergy of the deck from 5 to 6. So whatever the synergy rating of this deck is, it's in reality 1 higher if you plan on using this effect. It's like a trump card, basically. Why not when a Mexstar Avatar is targeted for an attack, it gains Fortified? There's 8 total, but it's a synergy. So from what I've seen, he's put in a synergy rating of 5 on them. That's our 5 on all of them, it looks like. Right? There's 8 total. I think I would raise the synergy of the deck to 6, if not 7. And then make the effective synergy 7 or 8, one of the two. Right? So that's another change. So yeah, that's what I would change to that. That's what I would change that. Now, as for the runes, rescue mission. Activate only if you control a Mexstar token, non-token avatar. Target Mexstar avatars in your graveyard up to the number of Mexstar prototype tokens you control. I'm not giving them rescue mission anymore because from what I've seen, there's too much recursion, right? This deck doesn't do it doesn't do ascension, it doesn't do ascensions, it doesn't do anything for the later years, right? Which is why I wanted this to be one of the earlier decks. This will break anything in year 1 right now. This has, in my opinion, the recursion to break, right? With a low synergy rating and being able to do all this stuff. Is it grindy? It's grindy. It feels grindy, right? And again, when you actually test it, it might be ass. Right? It might be ass when you actually test it. But on paper, we want to try and avoid wasting the time of the testers by saying, okay, this looks broken. If it looks like a horse, it talks like a horse, it's probably a horse, right? This system patch, increase your Nexus gauge by 50 for each Mexstar prototype token you control. At first, I was fine with this, but then we have another ability in here that's already increasing your thing. So if I activate the rune first, gain, I don't know, 150, then start tributing them, you don't need this one deck having all of this coming back power. Now, we're gonna take, I like the name system patch, but this rune can't exist at the same time as that ability. It's just not, I don't even have like a recommended change. It's just not fair. Tribute all Mexstar prototype tokens you control. For the rest of this turn, all Mexstar avatars you control become fortified. That is crazy. Yes, it is for 1 turn, but fortified is not a status to be applied lightly. Not to mention, it just says tribute all. There's no specific number that you have to tribute, so you can just tribute 1 and be fine. And this effect, Efficient Resources, says that on the turn that this card is summoned, the first Mexstar ring you activate is returned to your hand after resolving its effect. So, if I'm a big brain player, I'm going to create this loop. Summon Adhara turn 1. No, actually, how would I do it? You know what? No, the thing that's holding this together is prototype. The thing that's holding this together is prototype, which limits the versatility that this deck can offer you. Because if you're using prototype, that means you can't rank cost summon that turn, which I think is fair, right? I don't think you should be able to spam tokens out and also... Yeah, no, it'll complicate it. I think there is an argument to be had that, like, okay, maybe you should be able to rank cost summon alongside the token, so you don't just have to have a fully vanilla turn. But at the same time, I feel like the wording is complicated enough already. This deck is doing a lot of stuff, right? So, turn 1, you would do the tokens. Turn 2, you would summon Adhara and the Recycler. Okay, no, it's not infinite. It's not infinite. You can't do it as much as I thought you could. Right? Because what I was going to say is, you summon her, activate the fortification rune, tribute the things, bounce her back to hand, so you get the rune back, you bounce her back to hand, you were fortified for a turn, but you would need 2 turns to set that up again. That being said, making every card you control fortified every 2 turns, still a lot. Do you run the odds on certain hands when you balance decks? Yes and no. Because you get to choose the first 10 cards you see, there's only so much RNG that comes into it. The only cards that you're drawing is, over the course of the 6 turns, you draw 1 card per turn to add to the hand, but you decide what your opening hand is in this game. It's not decided by RNG, because I don't like RNG. So the only variable is, okay, the cards that you're drawing. So your primary strategy, like your solved opening hand, is not up to chance. Which means that if you find something broken that's consistent, you will guaranteed be able to do it every single time. right? That's a risk I've decided to take. Maybe it bites me in the ass. We'll see, right? So if you make something that has this much recursion, the idea is you burn resources in this game so fast that your draw deck becomes a real resource because you're summoning 3 cards per turn. Well, there were only 5 monsters in your hand to begin with, so after 2-3 turns, you're running low, and that's what everyone else is dealing with, where this deck just has so many ways to get the cards back, and also gain the life points back, and get many things back. So do you want to do any testing, or are we just cooking? I would like to do... I'm gonna nerf Ancient Beasts. I don't want to waste our time. I'm gonna nerf Ancient Beasts. I'm gonna... I wanted to test Ancient Wyverns versus Ancient Melody or just something else, but in reality, let's be honest, we already know what the answer is going to be, right? Like even with the Cleanse Rune being in play, it's like, okay, right? So I have to put that in my opening hand, and I have to do it turn 1. What if it does, right? So I'm just gonna take away the counter zone token generation that Ancient Beasts have and call it at that. Offensive Ancient Beasts will still be fine, but I don't want to take away their fortification, so something else has to go, and I just don't see what else to take. So yeah, that is a change that will be made to them. I can't put it in the game files yet because the developers just got an update to the cards, and so they need to implement that before I can change anything, just so it doesn't get missed. But yeah, we don't need... So I would say that, you know how Ancient Wyverns was supposed to be this big threat? I think it'll still be a contender, but I don't think it'll be tier 0 because you don't have to worry about the token generation anymore, right? You can attack freely and not be afraid that you're going to accidentally give your opponent a token just by playing the game. They still have an impressive defensive wall of an effective 600 stat boundary, but if you lose to that wall, you are no longer punished for it. That's what we're going to do. So on offense, they will work exactly the same. But, oh no, but that... Okay, Nadia. Nadia will be the only card that remains the same because she's supposed to be defensive. But everyone else will only work on offense. And that's the change we're going to make to Ancient Beasts. Right? They may win, but you won't lose. You still get to make a try, to make an effort, right? You're less likely to get as hard countered. Certain matchups just got way easier, but at the same time, I think we're doing okay. They still have Leonidas. They still have a lot of things going on. They'll be okay, right? Now, if everyone has Heart of the Cards, nobody does. Exactly, right? So I should actually write that down. I've made the decision before, but I haven't actually put it into effect. Right? So Ancient Beasts. Ancient Beasts can only generate tokens after a battle where they were attacking, except Nadia, who can stay the same. And that's it. Right? And that's it. So that problem is solved. I think that makes the meta, as it were, a lot healthier overall. So that's fine. Right? TBH, you only won because I lost, so you never actually won. Will this game have set rotation, or will it be like Yu-Gi-Oh where everything gets piled onto one format? I'm hoping to pile everything onto one format. I don't fully know yet, but my idea so far, or for right now, is to try and make it so that you can have fun with everything, and just if a deck gets too outdated, try and release new support for it that makes it somewhat relevant, so you never feel like you wasted money on your older cards. Obviously, there's no way of knowing exactly how the meta or the game will progress and develop. We're gonna try and balance cards out. If something's too strong, something's too weak, maybe change its stats, mix it up, and if we absolutely have to, we can set cards to synergy rating infinity, which was suggested. I think it was Geartoon that suggested that, or was it someone else? Where basically, if a card is super broken, you can still play it, but if its synergy rating is 1,000, is infinity, you'll never be able to meet that, which means that it can still be played in the game, right? So yeah, that's that. one format, there will be different events. Yeah, exactly. There will be different types of events and whatnot, right? I'm back and caught up. I'm definitely good with the change to Lyra, and I agree with the 2 runes are broken. As for Alkaline, though, her being a support type removes a unique dynamic where she can only chill in the Nexus for 1 turn. I don't think that's really needed, though. I just thought it would require more strategy to use it that way. I mean, again, it leaves it up to the player. I feel like it's less hand-holdy, but I do get what you mean, right? Where it's like, okay, I know that you don't necessarily want her to be used that way, but if a player wants to do that, I think that's that's a suboptimal way to play. But you know, skill issue. Let him cook. Let him cook, I suppose, right? So she can pop in there, she can pop out, she can do what she wants. If she's in the if you put her in the Nexus, and that means she's not somewhere else helping you fight effectively, right? Not to mention, by the way, so I don't. Okay, wait, hold on. Let's go back up. Follow me. Here. Where is she? The one that goes into the Nexus. Where did she go? Agile. Okay, yeah. So, how this effect reads now and how it read before is you can place this card in any zone you control, right? That would... I hope the intention isn't for her to attack cards in the Nexus, because that would not work, right? If a card is placed or summoned in the Nexus, it cannot attack other cards in the Nexus. You have to forcefully breach the Nexus from the assault zones to battle the card inside the Nexus. So if she teleported in there, she would just be chilling. And I hope you, because when you've been saying you wouldn't want her to just hang out in the Nexus, I was like, that would be an awful strategy. And that's when it sort of clicked. I think you think that she can battle cards in the Nexus. She cannot. Is that a thing, or am I mistaken? Is that an impression that was had? Because if it is, because I'm not seeing why that's a good thing. Having moved to the Nexus is purely to save her own ass temporarily. Then yeah, let her hide. Let her hide. That's fine, I think. Because her just hanging out in the Nexus isn't you just lose 100 stats elsewhere on the board. She's not gaining those stats back. She just be chilling. That's fine. Okay, cool. I mean, Synergy 1000 Infinity goes hard as a form of ban. Exactly, right? I feel like it's a cool version of Hall of Faming, right? Okay, cool. So we are on the same page then. That's absolutely fine. Now, back to what I was saying before. Attributing all of these and everything becomes fortified. I would just scratch this. I would just scratch this. I like the name system patch, which is why I haven't deleted it yet. Tribute 2 Maxar prototype tokens you control. The summoning cost of your opponent's next card they summon is increased by 100. Love that. All Maxar prototypes gain 50 attack and defense. This with the previous thing of boosting by attack and defense would have been crazy. Love that. Would I call that an update? I want to see if there's somewhere else that system patch can go. Actually, system update and system patch basically mean the same thing, and I like patch better. So I'm gonna just take this and just, yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, so server hack, system patch, eject, return a Maxar avatar you control to the hand, summon a Maxar prototype to. There are too many ways to get your cards back. There are too many ways to get, because again, now that everything is closer to its final form, I feel like this was always the case. But now that we're getting closer to the final form and like seeing the strategy, there are too many ways to get your card back. If you use this with that horror, well, you wouldn't do that because it wouldn't make as much sense. But you could just activate this, send her back, summon her again, activate this, get the card back, and just do an infinite loop of plays, right? I think I got too scared of running out of resources when building this. Yes. I think you did. Yeah, eject is out. Eject is out. Eject. Well, something has to go, and I would rather. This is cool, right? Return a Mechstar and summon a Mechstar prototype. That's cool, right? But we already doing that twice, right? We already doing that twice, my guy. Twice, right? Where is it? Efficient resources. Command. When this card is summoned, add it from. Oh, wait a second. Do I hate this? Wait. Alright, I have a deal. I have a deal. Because I just had an idea based on what Adhara does. Right? We can keep the recursion, but every single effect has to be on summon. Even for cards that have multiple effects. Which means that you have to choose which of them you get. That turns it into a skill curve. Like there's a curve to that, right? Which effect do you use? Which card do you send back? Oh, this is just a beat stick now. That, I think, makes this balanced. Because now there is an actual, rather than just hoarding resources, there is now an actual gameplay reason to bounce a card back to the hand to summon it again. Because you can only use the effect on summon, it makes the effects a lot more valuable. I feel like some of the recursion would still have to be touched, right? Exactly, you receive a recursion, we receive a summon, and that increases the amount that you have. Basically, every time you want to activate an effect, it's like, hey, not only do you have to bounce back to hand, not only do you have to summon it again next turn, but you're summoning it again next turn, so pay 100 life points. Right? That, I think, puts a wrench in the strategy, right? The rank 1s obviously won't have that going on, right? That makes more unison between the subset. Exactly. So rather than it just being, hey, gimme, I get to hold it all, it's, yes, I'm holding a lot of cards, but because I'm on the edge of a knife, right? You have to play with such precision at that point and know which cards to send back to your hand when to maintain enough board presence to not die while also resetting your effects, and that's the dynamic of the deck. I think that will be the heart of what makes this deck viable. I think, anyway. I could be entirely wrong, but I think that's the fix. Because some of these effects are just too much, but again, if you could only use them once, it'll only be too much. Once, right? Oh yeah, so the reason I wanted these to be SR5, just like the Ancient Beast, is to allow for more deck combinations. After sitting down and deck crafting for a couple hours, I realized the difference. Between SR5 and 7, only 2 more is huge and severely limits creativity and what you can try with the deck, and I feel like it's on brand for a scout subset to work with other subsets. No. I hear everything that you just said, and I understand. With the power that you've given this deck, no. This deck cannot be used with other decks. No. Because, dream a dream with me, you know how defensive Ancient Beasts by themselves can stall out a game? Do that with this, right? Just mix that in with this, right? I don't care what these guys are doing. I don't know. Defensive Ancient Beasts by themselves can basically hold down a game. And then you just have these guys in the background shooting out lasers, killing people. No. No. Yeah. That's not happening. This is going up to a 7. Well, actually, no. If we make the change, to force the effects to be once only, think so. One, two, three. Okay, no, they can be a 5 or a 6. If the effects are once only, with the specific reading of prototype, it doesn't say, hey, you can only do a little, or hey, you can only rank summon a few. You cannot rank cost summon at all. Which means that other decks, if you want to use the prototype strategy, just won't be able to do anything. Which means that the deck needs to be balanced, or the synergy rating would be decided on the basis of its other effects rather than on the basis of the prototypes. Returning a rune to hand on summon can be crazy. So let's look at the runes. This one is returning your resources. If you control a Mexstar non-token avatar, target Mexstar, you have to control the tokens to use this, which means that whatever other strategy you were trying to play wouldn't work. at least for 1 turn. Tribute a prototype token. So you need a prototype for this. This one still gives you a free prototype just by returning the Mech Star, though. Do they still have the token in you scouting? Nah. We get rid of eject, we put them at 6. We get rid of eject, we put them at 6. Which gives them an effective synergy rating of 7 because of the card that removes itself from the game. And I feel like that's the most fair way of approaching the situation. So we go Control H, SR5, and set this to SR6, replace all. Right? So SR6 I think makes sense. SR6, and if that's too low we can change it, but I think for right now SR6 makes sense. So what else was there? We've looked at behind enemy lines, we've looked at this, we've looked at increasing Nexus gauge. Okay, yeah. What is happening? Wait, what? Who is this? Who is this person? Why have you done this? Did he try and talk to me? He didn't even say anything. This guy just flipped the table. Who are you? I'm just gonna leave. Why? Can I'm pretty sure if I'm not mistaken, what has been happening here? What has been happening here? Okay, so I'm just gonna load a new thing. Load. Okay, cool. Anyway. Oh, by the way, I put on I added in the icons. Look at this. Look at this. Right? So when a card gets inducted, you place this on it. If a card is isolated, you place this on it. If a card is ignited, it gets this one. This one is for guard break. So if a card has a guard break status, you give it this. This is for cursed. So if a card gets cursed, you give it this. This is a forest guard counter, the token. The counter that you use for the forest guard subset. This is for fortified, because, you know, castles, fortification, whatnot. And yeah, those are the ones that I put in because they're the main ones that we use right now. There are others, like for example, if I go save objects, icons, there's also cleansed, but not many cards have cleansed right now, so I didn't bother to like make a stack of them. There's quickened, right? There's quickened, that's a rabbit. We've got, you can just see it. We've got void. We've got void over here. I think void looks really cool. I like void. It's just that. Sealed. Priority, yeah, we got stuff. We got stuff and things, right? But yeah, that's besides the point. I don't remember what the point was. I have lost my train of thought. In any event, delete, spacebar. We have reset the board. Now, back to what I was saying. Right? You said we aren't testing today? Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry, by the way. Didn't mean to hijack the stream this much. No, it's fine. That's what. So these streams are about game dev, right? This is part of the game development process, so I'm not mad about it in the slightest. If we made this integer too low, we need a lot of testing and labbing so we don't burn the game. No, agreed. Like, this wouldn't touch, this version of this deck would not touch most of year 1, right? As of right now, I feel like this can only be put in like the tail end of year 1, maybe the start of year 2. But again, everything needs to be tested and adjusted, and we'll probably go over its effects again when we're about to bring it in. But right now, we'll put it in a tentative end of year 1-ish, right? But yeah, the status icons are fun. It looks like a frog table. Yo, Brandon, how you doing, bro? What's good with you? What's good with you? They're gosh darn cute. Love them, love them. I'm glad you like them. I'm glad you like them so much. This is year 2 for sure. The reason why I wanted these in year 1 was because of the lore. I feel like the lore is appealing, and the card art could be very nice, which could help with just the game in general. But no, year 2 would also be fine. The problem is they have nothing to do with Ascension. They have nothing. They don't have anything to do with any of the summoning mechanics, which is fine. I'm not saying they have to have that, but they won't fit into the theme of late year one, because combination starts halfway through year one, and then ascension starts halfway through year two. And it's just like, okay, what do we do? I'm good just doing a 12-hour shift. It doesn't sound like, that's not good. Don't say I'm doing a 12-hour shift and I'm good in this. No, I'm joking. Well, I'm glad you seem to be in good spirits, so that's good, right? Yeah, we just out here, we're looking over a subset, trying to decide what to do. And I think, to be honest, with the changes that are in place, let me just do this real quick. So all of these will be conditional, right? So that's a when, that's an at. This is an if, but fair enough. When this card is summoned, tribute a Mech-Star prototype token, increase your Nexus gauge by, I'll give it 100. Right? That way you can decide if it's worth it. Basically make one of the summons of your cards free, right? Make it so that one of your rank 2s gets to be out here chilling for free. But then if you want to summon this card, if you bounce this card back, it costs 100 to summon. So is it worth bouncing it back just for that 100 when it only has 100 attack and defense? I feel like this change actually balances out this deck quite well. When this card is summoned, reveal yeah, this is fine. So every time you summon this card, you get a little bit more information if you want to, right? When this card is summoned, I feel like this is the best one. This is not even I feel like this is the best one, right? This is the best on summon effect because it's just these guys have generally small stats. She's like, no, we don't, and she gets bigabized. Actually, no, this is the best one, right? When this card is summoned during the next wave, your opponent must play out the preparation declaration phase before your preparation phase. It lets you decide what to summon. This one has a synergy rating of 7. This one has a synergy rating of 7. Yeah, no, that's not. Ooh, do we make it 8? This one has a synergy rating of 8. Yeah, no, okay. So you cannot play this. You cannot have this in the same deck as the rest of it. Okay. My deck probably beginning year 2. Yes, your deck is Ascension focused. So even aside from its power, Ascension is year 2. So your deck is the beginning of year 2, effectively. It's one of the first ones, I think. Right? Could there be like teasers, a bit of lore that players can see, then try and anticipate the next release? I mean, that could be a thing. There's tons of what's it called? There's tons of different ways. There's tons of different ways to implement the lore. I have a story. I've already decided what I think the story mode page is going to look like. It's going to be fun. Story mode is one of the things I'm most excited about because, I mean, I'm a storyteller at heart at the end of the day. Stars can still technically be year 1. I see what you mean. But if people see the teaser and they don't get to see the abilities, they're going to be upset. If they see the abilities and the abilities look broken, they'll be hype. But if the abilities look broken, we'll have to nerf them, so players will be disappointed, right? It's a fine line to walk, right? A fine line. Example of what I meant about the SR thing, even having an SR6 completely locks Mech-Stars from using Wyvern, so other SR5 minor subsets, but I agree about how powerful Mech-Stars are. Well, that just gives your opponent priority. No, think of it like how Daredevil from Marvel Snap is supposed to work, right? I feel like that was because I'm the one who actually suggested this. Right? And that was sort of what I was going for with this. But then in context, in tandem with everything else going on, that ability sort of shot up in power because you can summon this card. You could have used the eject rune, which bounces card back to hand, see your opponent's preparation phase turn 2, summon this card turn 2, see the preparation phase turn 3, use your other, and it would just be too much, right? It would just be too much. So that rune has been taken out. There might be something else put on this. Aren't Mech-Stars in the shop? Mech-Stars? Do you mean? I got confused for a second. Keep it on the to-do list on ways to market and build player hype. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, Future Soul he's fucked. Anyway, aren't Mech-Stars in the shop? No, not currently, at least not in my current plans, but we will see, right? When this card is summoned, during the next wave, your opponent must play out the preparation declaration phase before your preparation phase. Yeah, there's no cost on this. Maybe there should be one. There's a limitation, but not a cost. When this card is summoned, when the card is summoned, tribute it to the graveyard. Tribute it to the graveyard. You can fish it out using Adhara, but that's a process, right? That way you can't just do this endlessly, right? You can fish this out with Adhara if you want to after it's tributed itself. So you get 1 turn of prime knowledge to make your plays, and if you're skillful with it, maybe 2. If you're very, very good, you might be able to make that better for yourself. But yeah, that's what that says. Target 1 Mech Star avatar you control, reduce your Nexus gauge by half the target summoning cost. Return that avatar to the hand and summon a Mech Star avatar from your hand with the same rank to the same location as the returned avatar. I almost want to give them the eject rune back. I almost want to give them the eject rune back, bro. I almost want to give them the eject. So that means this. Electra. Electra needs to be a support type. She can't be on the field. She can't be battling because she is now one of your 2 primary ways of recycling your resources, where she bounces cards back and she does all this stuff. So you have to make a choice. Oh yeah, no, this got a lot more balanced. You now have to make a choice. Do I on summon get information by tributing her? Well, if I tribute her, that means I can't shuffle my cards around using her effect anymore unless I do the thing with Adhara on her summon, so on and so forth, right? Or do I just leave her in the Nexus for the entirety of the game and use her as the pilot, which bounces cards back once per turn, allowing me to do stuff and things? If anything, she's the key card of the deck. She's the key card, right? I think it only makes sense for her to go in the Nexus. I think it only makes sense for her to go in the Nexus, right? Information is the year 3 ability IMO. This isn't Daredevil, this is Kang. No. Kang says you play through the turn and then you reset the turn. This is saying, hey, your opponent goes through the preparation phase. So you think of it, so it's because of how it's worded. Think of it as you see your opponent's preparation phase plays before you make yours. Right? So you see what your opponent was going to do in the preparation phase, then you get to play, right? Once the auxiliary deck comes out, are you going to increase the size of the resource deck? I'm not sure, because the thing about the resource deck, I've been struggling with that. I've been really debating if I should make the resource deck 10 cards. It allows you to have more cards in there, but it also increases the chances that you don't get the cards that you want, which I don't know. It adds even more RNG to the mix. And I mean, I have been trying to limit RNG here and there. I thought to myself, okay, what about synergy ratings? That would make things go off the charts. Well, I could just make it so that you're still only allowed to have 5 avatars in the resource deck, and then the other cards would have to be runes. But then that just means you're more likely to draw runes. It's now a 50-50 between drawing avatars and drawing runes, and no one wants that. So maybe instead of doing it like that, we just cap synergy at 10, so you can't have more cards. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, what I'm saying is that since this game doesn't have much RNG, it's easier to predict how the turn will go. You still don't know what runes they would have face down. You would just see the face down runes. Again, I get what you're saying. I do. So it is powerful. I'm not saying it's not powerful. I'm just saying it's something worth watching. Right? Gotta go. Have a good one, Brandon. Take care. Take care. Right? Daredevil is too broken in this game. Imagine knowing your opponent's turn 1 and countering it perfectly. You can't know your opponent's turn 1. You can't know your opponent's turn 1 because this says what the effect reads: when this card is summoned, tribute it to the graveyard during the next wave. So the earliest wave where you can have information is turn 2. At the earliest is turn 2, right? Because I know turn 1 is the most important turn of the game. I wouldn't let this ability fly if you could get turn 1 information. I get what you mean. The information is extremely important. But I'd rather see how this ability goes. This is one that I find as being very unique. I find this one as being very interesting. And if you know how the turn will go, you can counter it in a more broken way. Also, your opponent is locked in while you get information. Again, all valid points. All valid points. You get information, your opponent's locked in, so on and so forth. Right? You're not saying anything that isn't true. I don't disagree with you. But at the same time, I'd like to see how it goes. Right? I'd like to see how it goes because it's strong, but I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, I honestly don't. You can summon 3 avatars per turn. This changes the placement of your cards, not what you have the ability to summon. Right? Because, so, look at this with me. Of the 3 cards in your hand, assuming that you're doing this turn 2, right? That means that you have paid the cost for Adhara at 200 and then tributed her directly to the graveyard. Maybe played 2 other cards. You've got 2 avatars left in your hand. Maybe you top deck 1. Your opponent plays 3 avatars. Let's say they're going offense, offense, defense. Well, now you know to go defense, defense, offense, or something along those lines. If you don't have the cards to counter it, it's not like you get to choose what card in the game you would like to counter their play and play that card. You're still limited by the resources at your disposal, and with the synergy rating that we've given this deck, the chances of you having anything outside of this deck in your hand at this early stage of the game, not necessarily the highest. I do get the concerns, but I also see the potential for this to work. So I'd like to see, right? But yeah, that's it. If your opponent had the opportunity to change the preparation after this, I would say it's fine. Well, that would be pointless, right? But like, that's assuming the person with the information has a response. You can know I have a card, but can't do anything about it because your deck doesn't have an easy answer. Yeah, basically, that's exactly, right? That's exactly what I'm trying to say, where it's like, okay, if this deck has a synergy rating of technically 9, if we make this synergy rating 8, and you want to play the card that banishes itself from the game to protect you, you have a synergy rating of 9. You're not playing anything else. You are limited within the answers that this deck itself can provide. Now, if you choose not to play that card, then yes, a synergy rating of 8, you've got 2 spaces to figure something out. Maybe you play Damien the Valiant in your hand, but if you play Damien the Valiant in your hand, he was only going 1 place anyway. The benefit is, you know that, okay, I need to play him this turn. I don't see it as being that different as a card like Journey's End, where it's like, okay, the turn starts, you see what your opponent has done, and you move a card that you summoned to a different zone in an attempt to sort of counter their strategy. It lets you choose again, basically, for one of the cards. This is letting you choose again for all of the cards, which again, I realize that that's a notable difference, but I don't think it's world-shattering for the difference in cost. That is just a rune. This is making you sacrifice a rank 3 avatar, 300 life points, and the main control pilot for the deck, which I don't think is insane, right? But yeah, that's it. Think about how often runes miss. Imagine a card said this turn, my runes go crazy. Is there 9 cards? Well, again, I won't know you. So you don't know what runes your opponent has face down. If your opponent sets 3 runes during the declaration phase, what would you see? You would see 3 face down runes, but you wouldn't know what they were. So if you got to use this ability, you would still see 3 face down runes and not know what they were, right? That's the only real thing. I guess if your opponent sees that you've played a very rune heavy strategy, maybe they don't put as many monsters on the field, but that just, they don't know what the runes are. So if anything, they might be enabling your strategy to work even more, right? It's only problematic if the deck has a catch-all answer to everything. Exactly, and we're limiting their answers. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I do see why you have concerns. I don't think that the concerns don't make sense. I just think that it might be all right. Have we put wins on all of them? We're leaving transport. Transport can stay. When, and this says on the turn. Yeah, they're all win effects now. Right? They're all win effects now. So I think that, excuse me, I think that should be the balancing force from X-Stars. So that's fine. Yeah, that's the last set of lore or card effects that I think I need to look at. Now, when it comes to what I would like to do next, I have a few things, right? Now, all of those cards are done. These are done, these are done, these are done, these are done. Well, not done, they are in place. Let me double check this real quick. Are these all done? Quagmire, Mus Aurum, Avatar Totem, Taser Wolf, Yao Ming. Okay, all of these guys have abilities. Perfect. That's great. Good. Runes, avatars. Do the ancient beast ones all have effects? I just need to double check this. Mechstar is different from the star subset, right? Yeah, no, starlights are different from Mechstars. Completely different. This one will have Rugal, Arya, and Great King Leonidas. That's fine. We close this, so those have all been created. Strike Force, this is Neoshock subset. Mighty Enforcers, those have all been created. Jackals all have their effects. Dracanas have their effects. Shamans have theirs. Does the Nightmare subset have their effects? It looks like they do. Please don't hurt my babies anymore. I mean, we might have to, but we'll see. Oh, right. These are the old effects that Zane created for Stygian Grey. Didn't want to throw them away, so I just applied them to a different subset. So those are created. Looks like the first deck to come up that doesn't have their effects created. Starlight. Oh, that's what you meant. Yes, Starlights are the one in the shop. They are. Yes, yes. Right, I get it. Info is power, but it's sort of wonky since there's too many variables that determine how useful that info is. I agree with that idea. A subset of cards. Oh, right, yeah, this one was supposed to go crazy. So this is the, well, go crazy in a weird sense. It's another waifu deck, obviously. So let me just read the description. A subset of cards that take over your hand and play your cards for you, with each card having a specific way that it plays itself. Now, that might sound weird. How would we achieve that? The main 5 cards will all have passive effects that force them to be in the starting hand if they are in the deck. Or maybe they cannot be played if they did not appear in your starting hand. So it's more so that there is a way that they want to be played, and if you do not play them in that way, they will not work for you. They will not heed your commands if you do not follow what they want to do. Right? They may also have the effect that you cannot rank cost summon them. So basically, yeah, they can't be rank cost summoned if you don't do it the way that they wanted it to happen. Then a series of conditional mandatory effects, so they force you to do what they want, from the hand that can force the summon of certain ones under certain situations and in a certain order. The only thing the player could control would be the runes. So you have no control over anything that happens when you play this deck. It's a deck of waifus. Make of that what you will. Anyway... but yeah, that's what this deck is. That's what this deck is all about. I'm not sure if the character that plays Sisterhood, the Sisterhood subset in the series, I don't know exactly if it fits them perfectly, but for the time being, I feel obliged to just run with it and go for it. It's like Lightsworn waifus. Is that what Amazonia's Agatha's? It's sort of like Agatha, right? But I don't want to have it be where it's like, okay, your cards get played at random kind of thing. What my dream for the Sisterhood subset is, like, right now, I think it's 10 avatars. I would like it to be like, I don't know, maybe 40 avatars in the Sisterhood subset total, right? They just consistently get support, which introduce new ways that you are allowed to play them because they're in charge, not you. So for example, in the first set, there will be 5 that say can only appear in your starting hand. If you put them anywhere else, boom, deck just doesn't work. Then so on and so forth. But again, you can't control draws, which means that the other cards can't be like, oh, play me on turn 1 or don't play me at all kind of thing, because you don't know when you're gonna, turn 2 rather, because you don't know when you're gonna draw it. So they'll have other restrictive effects, like for example, can only be played in this zone, or can only be played under this situation. And so the more of them that you add in, the more variables and situations that you cover. So the player can sort of start to build their own play style, but still only within what the waifus want them to be able to do, right? At least that's the concept. I don't know why this is bugging me so much, but it is. That's the concept behind it, right? I don't know that it will get to 40, but that's like, you see what I mean? Where it's like, that's the vision for it, where it's like, okay, they've got a locked sort of play style, and you have to try and just make that work, right? This seems hard to balance? Extremely. Yeah, this is gonna be extremely difficult. And I don't even know what they do, right? I don't even know what they do yet. I just know that they have a specific way that they want to be played. That's the only concept, right? Yeah, the vision for this is really hard. Wait, is 40 a lot of cards for this? I'm confused. For context, the biggest subset in the game right now has 10 cards. currently of the 122 that we're leading with, right? In terms of the decks that we've conceptualized, the biggest conceptualized deck up until now has 30 cards in it. So it's quite a stretch above what we've got going on so far. But yeah, no, this is going to be a really difficult one to tackle, so I've been putting it on the back burner. Sisterhoods will probably be the next one that I design. It's been a while since I actually dusted off my design chops. I haven't designed one in a while. Just because we're getting to the point where we have a lot of decks. We have a lot of content. Initially, I was going to use these as the models. Which one do I use to give an example? Like, initially, they were all going, when we were still doing it 3D, they were quite literally going to be these models, but we're not going 3D anymore, so they're just going to be other just waifus created by Lumiere, effectively. And we go from there. We don't need sound for this, actually. I'm just showing you the model. Right, so this is the art style that the models had. And we might go for something somewhat similar to this, right? Like, okay, she would clearly have light-oriented powers kind of thing, but that's not what we're doing anymore because we're going with 2D. I've only kept them there as a reference. Yo, this is my bribe to let me have her help. Ayo Salt, thank you for the 10. I appreciate it. But I can't let, what's it called? Just about to hit the back end of the line. So the thing about these, those physics are jarring. Yeah, no, them ones need to be going wild. They need to be going wild. So the thing about this is it's a character deck, right? It's a character deck that goes to a character. Well, his name isn't even Shinji anymore. It's been changed, but it has to achieve certain things. So I have to steer the ship on this one. As much as I would love to hand this off, because this will probably be the hardest deck to create out of anything that we've done up until now. Like, genuinely thinking about making it playable while still being this restrictive with that whole like dominant mindset where it's like, okay, these cards are in charge, you have no control, but also you still have a chance to win. Like, that's gonna be so difficult to make it like make sense. And with all of the effects being conditional mandatory, the player has no control over anything, which means that if you're playing this deck and your opponent has played this deck before, they will know exactly how everything will play out. The only thing that you can change is how you use the runes. That's the only, and I feel like that will take a lot of skill in that, like, you have to time. Hello. Thank you for another 10. I can't let you make the subset. I have to make it, right? Shinji has to be a beta. They need to be broken stats. So Shinji's character is, the reason why he has so many different options is because his whole thing, they call him the chameleon in the story. There's this, lore-wise, there's this thing where you're able to channel different avatars, and normally people are only able to channel 1, maybe 2 over the course of a single lifetime because of how much it takes to be able to channel an avatar. But Shinji's whole thing is that he has given himself completely to, well, you know. So he's able to channel every single one. So he's the only one who's able to so you never know what Shinji's going to bring to a fight because he's able to channel the abilities of each one. He doesn't summon them because obviously they do what they want, but in channeling them and taking their power for himself, he's able to use all of their different abilities. So they call him the chameleon for that reason, right? About the decks, please tell me there's Massive Dragon or monster type decks. Yeah, there's dragons. The Wyvern subsets are all dragons. There's some monsters. There's the Ogres from the Swamp Dweller subset. We've got Centaurs for the Valiant subset. And there's gonna be like the Nightmare subset is just gonna be amorphous monster blobs. So there's tons of that, right? We got lots of dragons and monsters. Yeah, we got lots. How about I try making it and pitch it to you with no obligation on your end to use any of it? I mean, that's something that you can do all the time. It's not, but it won't be the kind of thing that I go through and react to. It'll just be like, okay, and I'll let you know if there's anything I decide to take. But depending on the vision I choose to go with, that is up in the air. Now, we stopped here, but I wasn't, I see, exactly, that's what I was, he's basically, he's got a harem of avatars, effectively. That's a better way of putting it. Why is this bothering me so much? I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. It reminds me of a hangnail, and I don't know why. Djinn subset needs to be worked on. I'm quite sure. Yep, the Dijin subset needs to be worked on. I went back and I thought the Dijin subset is going to be really fun, I think. The Dijin subset is going to be a major minor, meaning that it will have all of the cards to be a major subset, but I want the synergy rating of this deck to be 3 for most of the cards, and then for the main cards, like 8, right? I want this to be a very splashable subset. We talked about it the other day, like a while back, and so I went back and I wrote down the ideas that I suggested at the time. Nick suggested a Dijin subset, so I came up with an idea on the spot, but after going back, I actually quite liked it, right? Where you have different genies that do one specific thing, right? So you have... Okay, so how it would work is there will be multiple lamps, there will be multiple genies. The lamps will all be avatars, the genies will all be avatars. So it's going to be a big subset, to a degree anyway. Then you will have one card, the human, that rubs the lamp, an avatar, right? Now, in order to get the wish that you want, you have to have the specific lamp for the specific genie that you want to bring out, and then have the lamp on the field with the human who rubs it, brings out the genie from the hand, the genie grants a wish. That's how the subset works. Gotta go enjoy. Hey, yo, so all have a good time. Take care, friend. The genie grants a wish, right? There's lots going on with this one. And then they do various things. Like, for example, one of the wishes might be, hey, you could wish for more power on a card. You could wish to draw 1. You could wish for more Nexus Gauge. Those kinds of things, right? But yeah, it's one that needs more detail. It's one that does need to be worked on, but I think it's also one that I should probably hold on to, right? Let's see what else we've got going on, because I know that there is at least one. There was something, and I don't remember what it was. I probably should have written it down. Nope. Kraken, Beauregard have both had their abilities made. Hey, yo. Hey, I did not say anything sus. I don't think, anyway. Maybe I did. We've got Doppelgangers, Baryons. What do these guys do? A subset that can return cards of the same rank as them to their hand by sending themselves back to their hand, balancing out the Nexus Gauge cost to both players. The balancing may be the requirements around the bounce, e.g. weaker ones may send themselves back to okay. I feel like this is one that I can hand off, because while Tobio's cards matter, in terms of the story, all that matters is that his are able to fly. So as long as they are winged creatures, that's all that actually matters for anything. Those are all created. This is an important one to get done. This is really important to get done because it's also story related. The Kalaka subset also needs to get done. And those are all... Yeah, Wicked is done. Okay, yeah. Those are all of the things that have been lined up that need to get done. So they're up there, they've been lined up, but the effects haven't actually been worked on. A subset that focuses on absorbing the opponent's stats to increase their own, which may start off relatively weak, likely a bit rune dependent. Needs to be able to revive cards from the graveyard, likely through destroying opponent's cards. Don't really know. How is the story going to work? I remember you saying it's going to be a light novel and some in-game panels. The book itself is still a book, but then in game, yes, there will be a story. So you'll have the story mode, which gives story from like basically the panels from the webtoon in the game as the story mode for the game, like the main story. Then you have various different pieces of story mode work. Like, for example, you have story mode content that tells you about the history of the world, story mode content that tells you about character interactions, and then you have lore, which is what we've been working on, the individual subset lore that's going to be part of it, and that's sort of how it's going to be broken down. So there's not going to be just one main story that gets followed in the game. You will unlock story packs and be able to go through the different stories and do X, Y, and Z, right? I feel like this is another one that I would like to hand off. What else do we have here? Deadly plays around with the placement mechanics of the defensive and rune zones that doubles as a minor subset with a seismic sense, allowing them to see face down runes. The synergy rating should allow for combination of 4 sensors and 3 high tiers. Yeah, I don't know entirely what I want to do. When will people probably be able to play this game? So at the rate things are going, it's hard to say, right? If you mean like, okay, when can you play it as in it's fully working, at least a year and a half from now. If you mean play it as in ready to have people hop in, like there's the skeleton of the game is in place and you can like mess around in it, I could see that happening optimistically by, we're in March, April, May, June, July, August, September. I feel like by September, the basic skeletal structure of the game will be in place, and we'll just be working on implementing individual card effects from that point forward. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, right? But yeah, this is an information gathering subset where it's like, okay, runes are precious stones. The Crystal Rose subset is all about themselves being precious stones, so they can sense different cards in the rune zone. And I don't really know what else they do, but that's the main gimmick here. We've got Crystal Rose, we've got Baryon, which bounces, and we've got Sisterhood, which I have to make myself. I can hand off Kalaka and Crystal Rose. Those are the two main things. Okay, yes, so basically, Neoshock, you asked if there was anything that you could cook. You could take Kalaka's or you could take Crystal Rose, but what I'd actually like on top or aside from that is I'm looking to have more generic avatars created. I've been brainstorming more generics in my free time because a big part of the game is being able to play your way, right? You don't just have to play subset cards. You can use generic avatars here and there. Generic runes are easy enough to come up with. Generic avatars that aren't broken are harder to come up with, right? So that's another thing that I've been doing. And I'm moving towards the direction of trying to see what else we can do in that sense, right? So I've just been trying to come up with different things. Like a rank 3 that says, hey, tribute this card, ignite a card on the field. Or tribute to fortify, or tribute to isolate, right? That's a generic ability that does generic things that you would have to hard draw and pay 200 for to get a status effect, right? Fun. Tribute this card, draw 1. Generic, simple, fine. You'd have to summon it, which means you have to hard draw it. It's just thinning the deck. I don't think it's that good. I feel like you would rather play a rune that does that. Target a rank 2 or lower assault type card, copy its attack. Target a rank 2 or lower defense type card, copy its defense. Basically allowing you to double up on certain things. Could be kind of crazy in certain strategies and situations, but you have to top deck it. Those are the kinds of things I'm looking to do right now. So, instead of handing off full prompts, as per the usual, I am looking to see if I can fill out the generic repertoire, right? I'm going to close this for the time being. I feel like I'm more likely to work on Crystal Rose than I am to work on Sisterhood, but I'll leave both open for the time being. Anyway, that's about it. That's about it. And with the change to Ancient Peace, honestly speaking, I don't think much else needs to be balanced, right? I think all the generic runes and avatars have been looked at. The Arias have been touched. They're fine. The Asylum subset never really did much to begin with. They never really cooked. It's relatively easy to break their strategy in their current form until they get the rest of their support. Like, honestly, I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. Cerberus, in my opinion, is the best one, followed by Osiris, but they've got a synergy rating of 5, so you have to play all of them. Right? I think Osiris has a cool ability as well. When this card is summoned, target an avatar in the Nexus at the end of the declaration phase. That target is returned to its owner's hand. So if your opponent had a Nexus gauge strategy or play, you just get to disrupt that for a turn. Just no, because it's the declaration phase. So your opponent can't respond with the ability of the card that they summoned in the Nexus. So if you time the summon of this card correctly, you can just mess up your opponent's Nexus gauge strats for the turn, which is really, really good. So I definitely think that they have a place. But again, your opponent gets the cost back. So you don't, it's not like, okay, you just get to bounce it for free or anything like that. You refund the points, but you know, they chillin'. But yeah, if anything was going to be broken, it's not this. Or rather, it would be this. I'm actually somewhat considering putting a similar clause on Leonidas' Voyage. Because right now, Leonidas' Voyage is just like, hey, here's your card. And it just returns it back to hand with no real cost attached to that. Or no real anything really going on. This just says, hey, Tribute, well, no, there's a cost. You tribute a rider token. Target an avatar on the field. The targeted card is returned to the hand. This card cannot attack this turn. Also, this ability can only be activated once per contest. Right? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna change how Voyage works. If Voyage boosted your life points, it would work very differently from how it currently does. And I don't really like that for me. I don't like that for me right now. Everything else looks like it should be okay. Right? I am well and truly pleased with everything else we've got going on. With the change that's just been made to Ancient Beasts, I don't even think Ancient Beast Wyverns will be too big of a threat. If they are, we'll take a look at them as and when it becomes relevant. But I don't think there's any Wyvern effects that I would change just to suit the strategy of anyone else. Like, Wyverns don't do anything insane right now. Ignis says, when another Wyvern leaves the field, shuffle this card. Reduce your opponent's X's gauge by the original attack. Because it says original, you can't boost that damage up. This one generates a token when it gets shuffled in. What subtypes will be good? Right now, in my opinion, the best subset is probably still, well, I don't know if it's the best. It's probably my favorite right now, is Ancient Beast plus Arias, where basically you just use them to control the pacing of the game. It's going to be significantly worse now that they've been nerfed, right? They got a nerf, so you can't do it as well as you could, but you could probably still make some pretty fun plays happen, right? Get some fortified Ancient Beasts on the field, do some crazy stuff. Yeah, no, it's just a fun time all around. It's just a fun time all around, right? Ancient Beast Arias is a fun one. I really like Gladiators, right? I really like Gladiators with Minotaurs. I would say that that's probably really high up there for me, especially because they haven't been nerfed yet, because I felt like they were balanced when we played them. And I obviously like the Wandering subset because those are my boys, right? So those are my picks currently. Neoshock likes Reapers. Tribute Ignis. Target an avatar on the field. That card loses 100 attack or defense, and this card gains 100 attack or defense. You may also return Ventus to the hand. Swap the attack and defense of another card on the field. That does do a lot. That does do a lot, but it sacrifices quite a bit of board presence. And if you do that, that means you're not using Elemental Mastery this turn, which means that you would have to use Clay Forge in order to get it back. Yeah, no, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Nerfed, watch them still go hard. They'll probably still go pretty hard. They probably will. Because the only thing that's been changed is the token part. The strategy, even without the tokens, was pretty damn good. If Reapers had a card like Wandering Gaze, they would go crazy. That would be such a skill thing, though, right? Having to time and specifically plan when that would be used, right? But again, that would be nice. That would be kind of nice for him, right? Maybe Reapers can go up in the ranks. I mean, I still think the problems weren't caused by defensive Ancient Beasts being tier 1. So I would still, if any, well, I guess everything would shift up. I would put Wanderings and what was the other deck? I think it was Gladiators. They were tier 2 before. I guess they would be tier 1 now that Ancient Beasts have been nerfed. Maybe. I think Ancient Melody would probably still be maybe tier 3. Reapers would then be tier 2, I guess. I don't know. In any event, I think that's all we need to do for today. The only card in the game right now that I feel like is worth watching out for is Omnis, right? He's the only one who we haven't really seen in action, because in the testing that we've done, not too much really came about. Not too much really came of it. So here's what we're going to be doing. Once I've updated the Ancient Beast cards, and once we've got the card art in place, I'm going to start getting people to play the game, right? What subset did you have in mind for me to step in the kitchen with? So, if you wanted to do a whole subset, I would say Crystal Rose is what I would have you step into the kitchen with, right? But if you'd like to just do generic avatars, that's also an option. That way you can just come up with things that go into different decks and can be splashable. Now, what I'm planning on doing is, people who want to volunteer to play, that's also still just a vibe. It's very helpful. But I think I want to find out the process of publishing a game on TTS, right? That way anyone who has TTS, even if I'm not present, can generate the cards and play the game, right? That's what I would like to do. The reason I would like to do this is so that we can get more opinions on the game, what feels balanced, what doesn't feel balanced. And I'm going to try and create a system whereby how would Nightmare cards work. I don't actually know yet. I haven't fully gone through their effects in a while, right? Now, I want to try and find out that process to get this available on TTS for people to do like on their own. But first I need to sort out 1 or 2 more things with legal to make sure I'm allowed to do that. And if that is greenlit, so it probably wouldn't be for at least another month, probably. But then once that's done, get people who are interested in playtesting, get more volunteers who are interested in playtesting. But the thing with volunteers is they play as and when they want to, when it's flexible, when they feel like, which is great. But I will need like more dedicated testers. So maybe, I don't know, offering £5 for 5 games played to maybe a small group of 20 people, which will be taxing because it'll be out of pocket, but it'll be for the game, so it'll be worth it. So to get like, okay, you are obligated, you have to do 5 games this week so I can get your feedback and your data and all those kinds of things, right? And yeah, exactly. So just try and find out where people go with the beta meta. A public version would be great to mess around with. Exactly. In all likelihood, it may need some form of secure platform. Would also mean I wouldn't feel bad about wanting to bug you guys because our time zones are different. Exactly. I'm free whenever, so if you want to play me, I'm happy. Exactly. Because see, here's the thing, Neoshock, me playing you has been good for the play testing, but I think we are finally done play testing. Now I just want to see people playing, right? I want to see people's initial reactions to playing, learning the rules, tackling the cards, so on and so forth. I'm gonna iron out all the details later for the people and how we're gonna decide who is going to be a tester and who's going to be a volunteer. Might put out a short to figure that out, but again, that's a problem for Future Soul. I just know that the wheels are turning for the idea. I need to sort things out with legal first just to make sure it's all right for me to publish it on TTS before the app is done and everything is finalized. Probably will be fine, but again, just gonna double check. And that is that. Yeah. Right? This is Min, by the way. Min! Min, it's you! Min! Why did my eyes feel heavy? How are you? It's been so long. How's Leaf? Well, I've spoken to Leaf recently. I haven't seen you in ages, friend. How are you? What's good? Right? I'm gonna be trying my best to make Reapers Tier 1. Do your best, I suppose. Future Soul problem list is massive. Bro, Future Soul is so fucked, man. I don't know what that guy's gonna do. I feel bad for him. Been busy, changed careers? What are you doing now? I didn't even know what you were doing before. I hope the Switch is going well for you. Hope you've been enjoying where you're at, right? But yeah. Yeah, I will have to lock down everything, get legal to confirm it, probably have to sort out like a payment system on PayPal or something. But if I can do it, I'd like to. I shouldn't have put these Sour Patch Kids in my mouth because it's hard to talk and do Sour Patch Kids at the same time. In any event, things are going well. Things are going well. That's all there is to it right now. Really should have waited. Really should have waited with these Sour Patch Kids. Anyway, alright. I want to see what Career Min is doing before I actually hop off. I think that's it for tonight. Again, no playtesting. This is one of the first things that we've done where there's no playtesting involved. What's the problem for Crystal Rose? I will send it to you. I will send it to you. You can ignore the links. The links were just the original things I was going to use for the card art, but it's no longer relevant because they're not 3D anymore. So, at Neoshock. There you go. On storyline thoughts and idea bouncing, you can still always poke me. I'm better with that than the actual mechanics. Man, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. All right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure Min has already signed everything, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll give me a kiss. Mwah. I'm pretty sure Min signed everything. I'll double check, but that would be great, and that does sound fine. Right? Perfect. A1. Alright, in that case, I will let you know if there's any more lore stuff going on. I very much appreciate it. I love Sour Patch Kids, but it takes me ages to get through them because the sour sensation just does not work with my tongue. Yo! I want to bribe for the wrong subset, but in all honesty, just donating for the cause. Team, thank you very much. You're so adamant on triggering my OCD with this subset with all the wrong numbers. I know. Leaf, Raven, and I all did in a batch. Okay, vibing. Yeah, okay, wait. Oh, right. I think I remember what you... Okay, yeah. For a second, I was like, did you do it again? And then I realized that you were talking about the last time, right? YouTube, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who donated tonight because, again, it all goes towards the project. It's all extremely helpful. It lets me eat while also working on the project, so that's great. Oh, I love you guys so much. All right, I'm going to wrap up for tonight. The paperwork, I'm bad at being a human, Min. You know this. I'm forgetful. Okay. I'm gonna hop off. I don't know that there's going to be a stream tomorrow because, again, playtesting is more or less done. If anything, I'm gonna dot my T's and cross my I's. Nope, that's not how the alphabet works. I'm gonna dot my I's and cross my T's and make sure that everything is where I want it to be. Once I get to a more comfortable place with where the game is at, that sort of frees up my time a little bit more because we're not doing such intense playtesting. I want to make content surrounding the game, and then once I feel like I've made enough content surrounding the game, I can start looking at doing other things again, right? I dispatch now organization in my job. Okay, vibing. I don't fully know what that entails, but I see that you still seem cheery, and so that implies to me that you're in a good place and that you like what you're doing, and I hope that is the case, my friend. Okay, all right. Everyone have a good night. I love you guys. Take care, and I will see you, if not over the weekend, on Tuesday. Take care, friends.